Welcome back, Nap Trappers. Hi, Beck.
Hey, Sally, how you going?
Good. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I actually got an Instagram DM from a lovely listener who left a voice memo with a question based on what she'd heard from our podcast in terms of anchoring in 4-hourly feeds, the results she's had, and what to do from here. And I actually got her permission to see if we could play the question because guaranteed if she's wondering it, somebody else is too. And it's a really great question to unpack. So I thought I might just play it. We're not very tech savvy here at the Nap Trapped headquarters, so I'm literally just going to hold my phone up to the microphone and hit play, and then we'll dive in. So have a listen to this great question.
Hey, Sally. I have been listening to a podcast, and a few weeks ago I implemented anchoring in my 7-month-old.
And I've done it.
Double speed. Shit, she was walking fast.
I don't know how to go back, Beck.
And just this last week,
well, we did preempt by saying we're not tech savvy, so.
I know, but now I'm just going to pause. All right, let's have another go at
another crack.
Normal
Take two.
Take two.
A few weeks ago, I implemented anchoring in my 7-month-old's feeds. He's just turned 7 months old. And just this last week, I've been noticing that we did just a slightly different time schedule to what you said, but still 4-hourly. But just this last week, I've noticed he's skipping a 10 p.m. feed, but he's waking up at 1 a.m. But usually overnight it was 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. that he was due for a feed. But now that he's waking up at 1 a.m., I've just been a little conflicted if I offer him a full feed, although it's an hour before he would be, due for that next one, or if I try and settle him. Thank you so much. And the podcast has helped me literally so much. So thank you again.
Amazing.
Aww,
I love this.
so
And thank you
lovely.
for tuning in. And thank you. Please always send in these questions. We love hearing them and we love answering them. This shows the power of getting great day feeds in during the day. So we talk all the time about anchoring in your 4-hourly feeds, which means moving to spaced feed timings, whether it is a breastfeed or a bottle feed. We're looking for anchored in set timings for a full and complete feed. And so I guess in summary, what this beautiful 7-month-old baby has done is started tanking up during the day, was traditionally waking for a feed organically, not a dream feed, organically at 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And what do you know? Baby has slept through that 10 p.m. waking and is now waking at 1 a.m. What does mum do from here?
And so this baby, I think maybe you did say before, 6 months old?
Almost 7.
Almost 7. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. So incredible. This is sort of exactly where you want to be. You want to, once we start sort of structuring in those milk feeds and anchoring them in through the day, with the addition of solids coming into play, and from 7 months, typically we're introducing protein as well, you do start to find that you start to get those longer stretches happening over the course of the night. And it's really important to take that green light or that lead that your baby is showing you, that they are able to take a longer stretch and always moving with their progress. So it is a case of sort of readjusting the timings of when you do offer those feeds with the intention of always sort of moving forward, so to keep progressing as well. So for me, I would tell this lovely listener to absolutely, let's feed at 1 o'clock. So they've slept through the 10 a.m. milk feed, which
10 p.m.
is... Oh, 10 p.m. Yes, sorry. 10 p.m. milk feed. Done a great job there. They've shown mum that they can actually do a really nice long stretch. I would do a full feed at 1 o'clock. So that would be, one breast or half a bottle. Then I would change the nappy. I would change the nappy to wake baby up just a little bit to make sure that they then take the second side readily and easily and tank up or the second half of the bottle. And then I would burp. And then I would pop back down into the cot, and then I would then move my next 4-hour window to 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
So it just means that instead of doing 10 and 2, now you're doing 1 and 5. But the key to the 5 a.m. waking and feed would be that At 5 o'clock, we don't want to offer a full feed to get back off to sleep. So 2 breasts or a full bottle would mean that your 7 a.m. anchored milk feed is going to be a dud, because they're not going to be hungry or have an appetite at all for that milk feed. So the key at 5 a.m., if you've managed to shift your feeds a little like that, is to offer the tiniest amount of milk just to get baby back off to sleep super quickly, but not so much that it impacts the 7 a.m. milk feed. Is that sort of how you would do it,
Yeah,
Sally?
and that's sort of the golden rule, isn't it? That the closer that early morning feed gets to 7 a.m., the smaller it needs to be, because we are always trying to protect that 7 a.m. And this is, I just think, the most textbook example of how you and I see babies start to organically drop and nudge out night feeds. And I think so many people think that as sleep consultants, we're telling parents to drop feeds.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't, babies do it when all the pieces of the puzzle are aligned. So often babies will naturally start to push that out. So it's not us saying, okay, don't feed your baby before 1 a.m. This baby has now shown you that they can do it. And then you're down to 1.5 feeds. And then that 5 a.m. one will probably be the next one to go, because chances are baby will then sleep. Okay, so 1 a.m. becomes the new benchmark. This is how I would then look at it. So moving forward from here, I probably would say, okay, probably no feeds before 1 a.m. because baby's just shown you that they can do that. And as you said, we're always trying to move forward and, with the grain of the baby as well, is, okay, so no feeds before 1 a.m. Chances are in 2 nights, baby then doesn't wake up until 2 a.m., in which case, great, full feed at 2 a.m., just as you outlined, big investment feed. And then if we shift the 4 hours later, that gets us to 6. Now, if we offer a feed at 6, then baby is not going to want to take a feed at 7. So I would actually just resettle or use a sleep training technique at 6, get to 7 a.m. They are going to be so happy to see that breastfeed or that bottle, and you have officially just dropped a night feed, and you just keep going. And then once that 2 a.m. feed gets closer to 7, you whittle down, and the same logic applies. I think the sort of overarching message or a lesson from this is that when you and I are fixing sleep problems or working with a family and weaning overnight feeds, our sort of general mantra is that once a baby drops a feed, we don't look to bring it back in. We use their new timing as the new benchmark to keep things going in the right direction. And this is a textbook way of a baby showing you that they can sleep a longer stretch and then how to navigate it. And sometimes, to be fair, it can take some trial and error with the volume. Let's say they do a 1 a.m. full feed and then 5 a.m. It can take a little bit of trial and error of like, oh, how much? Or maybe that was
too much.
A little bit. Yeah, how much is too much? Oh, baby wasn't so interested at 7 a.m. Okay, well, the next night you hold steady with the no feeds before 1 a.m., but you're going to offer less, or it's a half boob, or 30 mils, just something to take the edge off. And then really, I say from 5:30, if that next feed is happening from 5:30 onwards, I don't usually feed. I would just resettle, and then it is lights, camera, action at 7 a.m. This can happen organically for a lot of babies, but what I am so thrilled to hear is that this listener, this mum, has listened to the podcast episode and understood the why behind us moving to 4-hourly anchored feeds and the power of that. And you and I, Beck, see it just constantly with our own clients, with our own babies when we've done it, is that the day calories and the spacing of that is just a game changer before we even get to sleep training. You may never need to.
This is the thing, like when it comes to sleep training, the first thing that we will always do is manage those feeds, anchor those feeds, space the feeds, because above all else, that's going to make the biggest immediate difference to your little one's sleep. It's going to load the day up in terms of like a really positive aspect. We know we're going to get good sections of the day where we're really confident that our little ones are, nice and tanked up, so we can be the confidence around using a sleep training technique or resettling in another way other than feeding is going to be, it's going to work better because our little ones are going to be more receptive because they're nice and fully tanked up.
Yep.
And then we sort of, if we need to add a sleep training technique on, it's, it works so much easier. So
yeah, well, the sleep training technique is not going to do what we want it to do if we're sleep training through genuine hunger.
Yeah, or doubt.
Or
Or
doubt.
doubt. Yeah.
Or doubt. And that's the thing that creeps in at 2 a.m., doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
One thing too, just going back to the feeds, and maybe this is a question that a follow-up question for families who are listening to this podcast, they're probably going to ask. The question that we would often hear from our clients would be, let's just say this mum has now made 1 o'clock her new anchored sort of feed in.
Yep.
And then baby wakes at 12:20.
Yes.
What if baby does? So in these scenarios, we do want to make sure that we're not sliding back. We know our little one organically. So in this particular case, the baby organically slept till 1 o'clock. So we know that our little one can do it. If we then offer a feed at 12:20 because they've woken, then what that will tell our little one is, hey, we know how you could sleep until 1 a.m. like last night, but we actually want you to wake earlier. We actually want you to wake earlier and have a feed earlier and so forth. So then it starts to become this sort of ambiguous time frame of when they wake, they get fed. And so we want to create this really clear anchored time in. So the key for this is if your little one, say, wakes at 12:20, but the night before they woke at 1 for a feed, you want to confidently resettle that waking. And 2 things will happen. One is that your little one will go back off to sleep. So the key is if you're starting a resettle, you need to follow it through until they go off to sleep. And then you can feed
even if that's
them
after 1 a.m.
Even if it's after 1 o'clock, yeah. But then you can feed the very next waking. So for example, if they're awake at 12:20 and then you're resettling and they finally go back off to sleep at 1:20, they'll either wake 5 minutes later or because they're like, okay, I wasn't
really am
joking.
hungry
I
now.
am actually hungry.
Yeah.
Or they'll wake 45 minutes later at the end of that sleep cycle, or they will then sleep a good couple of hours and may not wake until sort of 3 or 4 a.m. In which case, that's telling you that that is the new marker in time. Because if your little one woke at 12:20 and then was resettled and then returned themselves back off to sleep at 2, 2:45, 3:30, and then they're awake at 4 a.m. for another feed, then they've woken and resettled themselves multiple times. If they were genuinely hungry, they would have woken and been like, for God's sakes, just feed me. But they haven't. They've been able to be relaxed and go back off to sleep multiple times, in which case you would sort of go, okay, cool. So 12:20 was never a genuine hunger-related waking, but here we are at 4 a.m. and now they're awake and they are hungry, and so that's when you would offer the feed. And then potentially look at doing that again the following night of just sort of going in with that's our new marker in time. So, So even though those moments can be really tricky, like doing that resettle, even though the clock is, in our minds, we've got 1 o'clock as our marker, it is really, really important to follow through until baby goes back off to sleep and then know that you can feed that very next waking.
Yeah. Even if it is that 5 minutes after they fall back asleep.
Exactly.
Bang, we're on full bottle. And then you use, so let's say that's probably at 1:30 by the time they've settled after that 12. Then the next night it's like, okay, 1:30 is our new benchmark. I'm going to resettle everything before 1:30. And I think that is when doubt can sometimes creep in because it's really normal for there to still be wakings before that new timing, especially if it's just a very fresh new progression that a baby has made that, but now on night 2, they've woken at 12:20. That's common. We would see that wouldn't shock us at all. It doesn't mean that they can't sleep longer. We just resettle, feed at the next waking as Beck just outlined, and you just keep the progress going so that we don't backslide. I think this is where your Tim Tam analogy always comes into play, that no matter what time of night, if we were offered a Tim Tam. We're going to take it. I'll take it at 12:20, even though I made it until 1 a.m. without a Tim Tam the night before. It's the same thing. A baby will always continue to wake for more feeds, more proximity, more excitement. So we just have to kind of just hold that little boundary, and it's not even because us as your sleep consultants are telling you that's what your baby should do. Your baby just slept till 1.
Yeah.
They've only got themselves to blame. They are the ones showing us and telling us what a champion.
Stop showing off.
Yes, right? You shouldn't have slept so well in the first place. No, but it's just really normal. And so don't let the doubt creep in there. And I'm just so thrilled for this listener. This is textbook pattern that we see, and it shows the power of great feeds. It shows also the capability of a 6, almost 7-month-old baby can sleep long stretches. And we see all the time on social media saying that's not possible, and it really is.
Yeah.
And this baby has done that without a sleep consultant in their pocket saying, do this, do that.
Yep.
Just the power of great feed. So keep going. Follow your baby's lead. You can absolutely still feed. You just shift your 4-hourly timers. And then, so I guess the two main rules to take away from this are once a baby drops a feed, we don't bring it back in, meaning, we hold steady with the new timing and resettle everything before. And the closer that early morning feed gets to the 7 a.m. feed, the smaller it needs to be, because we always want to protect 7 a.m. rather than starting on a snacky back foot and then chasing calories throughout the day. And just be confident. And as you said, Beck, back your baby. They've got this.
Absolutely.
And
That's
also
right.
just the biggest well done. There is so much information out there, and we add to that noise with the podcast. There is so much information. So for listeners to be able to listen, understand what we're saying, because sometimes I'm like, do we make any sense?
I do tend to waffle.
And I just like a chin wag.
On and on and on. And then at the end, just hope for the best. Like, if you see what I mean, or like, you know what I mean?
You know where to find us. But to actually piece it together is one thing, but then to implement it is huge. That is big pat on the back. Well done, because baby sleep is hard. Babies are ever evolving, and there's a lot of noise out there. So thank you for listening to us as what hopefully is a voice of reason, and as always, hopefully understanding the why, because then it makes sense, and then you see the progress. And this is how we manage it from here on out.
Amazing.
Okay, well, I can't wait to hear what this baby does next. So stay tuned, and we will see you on the next episode of Nap Trapped.
Bye, guys.
Bye.